my loyal followers and hopefully new followers who will like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe to this channel. Got a lot of how-to videos for this car. Which car, you might ask? The Toyota Subaru Scion FRS GT86 BRZ for you overseas people, the one person who might actually see this. So what we're going to do today is really not any kind of performance thing at all, actually. This is a more cosmetic thing that we're going to do. And what is that going to be? Well, the hood is up and it's not performance related. So what are we going to do? We're going to make this very boring, very OEM, very stock engine bay a little bit more respectable looking, at least until we get that very nice Sprintex right here in this general area. So what are we going to do? Well, I took this car to a car show. It was actually the Kaizen inaugural autism benefit show. And I realized I could not raise the hood on this because there's zero on it that's fancy except for my awful wiring. And I don't know what's going on here, everybody. I'm really sorry about this. I don't know. That's absolutely horrendous. I'll take care of that, I promise. And then this, I don't know. I'm really sorry. So what we're going to do is actually, we're going to match some of these parts with a locked door. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. Yeah. We're going to match with this color right here. And as you can see, I don't believe I actually did a video on that, but nobody actually really cares about that. And if we can, I believe it was this. And this was just bought at a parts store. We can see that. So we can see what color we're doing. I believe it was that. Of course, did a nice filler primer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of these little miscellaneous parts off. But the key here is not overdo it. We don't want to overdo this. That's where you always mess up and you start to look rice. So what all are we going to coat? We're not going to coat that. We're not going to paint the alternator. We're not going to touch the airbox. I don't even have my K&N sticker on here because no, even though it has a K&N in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some small things like our strut braces. And we're going to do these two covers and this bracket. And I considered trying to tape that off to do that. I don't think that's going to work. Literally calling this out as I see it here. A lot of people have painted their, sorry, I had to touch my camera. A lot of people paint their yellows. I don't mind the yellow so much. It's color and it shows where things are. It's easy to see. I don't mind that so much. We're going to leave that alone. We are going to try to work on this, and I don't know how it's going to work out. I haven't figured out yet exactly how I'm going to keep the silver letters. And all this is going to go away anyway when we put my Innovate on here, or Sprintex, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But I'd like to try to do something with this, but leave this on here. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. We'll get there. So that's kind of what the point of this video is going to be. We're just going to kind of dress up this bay a little bit. Give it a little bit of color so it's not embarrassing. The only thing we've really done on here is add some of my CR3 Motorsports stainless and aluminum. Don't mind that. Stainless and aluminum hardware under the hood here. I might try to find some other places to put some of those bolts. Maybe I can get some 2 in here or something like that. I don't know. I might try to find a couple other things to paint. If I can find something easy enough that's not going to be glaring, I'll take it off and we'll paint it as well. And I'll tell you what those things will be. But for sure what we're going to do is, of course, our strut brace, like I said. We're going to do the covers. We're going to do this bracket here. And I'm really going to attempt something here. I don't know how it's going to work with it being plastic. Now I don't want to use Plastidip for anything. Might try to do this. And we'll just put some lubricant with a Q-tip over these letters so we can wipe it off or something like that. See what we can do. So let's start taking some of these off, the covers, strut bars, and this. And we're going to take it over here to the bench that, as you can see, is absolutely disgustingly dirty. And we're going to sand some of this off and get it prepped for paint. So once we have our parts off, and this is all we're going to do, is the little cover here that goes on the intake manifold, the 2 strut bars, the 2 pulley covers, and then the radiator bracket here for the filler neck. So we need to prep these, and we're going to prep them. I don't know, I'm a little shaky, my tripod's in the other room. We're going to start with 320 and do a very light scuff on these. This, I don't want to take the texture off. We don't care about the underside. We probably just clean this one really well. We might just rough it up with 1000 grit. But after we 320 these very lightly, we're going to do a decent sanding on the 1000 grit, just so the paint has something to cling to. And once we do that, we're going to use some filler primer, and we're going to spray everything with the primer and then color. I'm still working on my thought process on how to do this, because I want this to stand out. I'm still working on that. I might get like a little swab, like I said, and put maybe some kind of coating on it or something that'll come off. I mean, I could spray some plastic dip on it and then peel the plastic dip off. That would work. But I might just paint over it, and then before it dries, I'll wipe off the top very carefully and try not to touch sides. We might try to do that. So let's rough all this stuff up real quick with the sandpaper and start with 320, then go to 1000. I'm probably just going to touch this with 1000 on the edges that might wear the most, and then we're going to hang stuff up and spray it with some primer. So we did 2 coats of wet primer following the instructions on the back of the can, and we're at 2 coats of color. And as you can see, it turned out pretty good. We haven't clear coated anything yet. I still have some other touch-ups to do, but as you can see, that's great. As you can see, we have more touch-ups to do. That's fuck my life. That's the story. That's the story of the last couple weeks for anybody who is curious. This is the one that's going to take a little bit more time. As you can see, I taped off the boxer part, but I'm actually going to use some model paint and fill in the Toyota Subaru words with just some silver paint, and the D4S I'm going to do with silver and black paint as well. I might try to do a light sanding over the top of it, see if I can get the paint to come off and not take off the silver like it's on the boxer part, to not take the silver off with it. But since I have out the silver paint to do the Toyota and Subaru, I'll probably do the same with the D4S, and then I'm going to clear coat over that as well. And now I have to fix that part that everybody just saw me screw up. So that's awesome. That's really cool. So that's where we're at now. Like I said, it's 2 coats of primer, of filler primer actually, and automotive grade, and then the 2 coats of the blue. And this is the same color blue that I actually have in the interior of the car, so it'll kind of match a little bit. And that's about where we're at as far as this part's concerned. And if anybody's worried about my continuity, this is being done over a couple of days, okay, because I'm working a crazy schedule. So the car is actually in the air, sort of, and there's no reason not to show this. As you can see, my belts are showing on the inside of my front tires, and I have a set of federals to go on it. And we have a video upcoming for the LCAs back there to get rid of that camber we got going on. So that's where we're at on this project. I've got to fix my screw up, get a drink, and get out some model paint. We're probably going to try to tackle this one tonight. And there we have it. 2 light coats of clear and 1 heavy wet coat. Let it dry for about an hour, and I very gingerly put it back on because I have other projects I need to start. But I feel like I beat this over the bush all the time, or I beat you all over the heads with this. But this nice, pretty stainless steel hardware and the aluminum dress-up washers, as you can see, there are a lot more of them in here now than there were. I put them here and across the OEM air cleaner housing, which will be going eventually, and I put them on the fuse box and on the ground, and I even used them to put these back on. It really adds up a nice little touch, and I need to order another set from CR3 Motorsports so I can change out some of the rest of the hardware. They're all roughly the same size. I believe they usually replace the 10mm bolts, and anything that's you can use a 10mm on, I think they're a M8 6. They're a 6mm bolt, and the pitch is 1mm. So that's the bolt, and they're all through these, and they come in different sizes and stuff. But as you can see, it makes a big difference, and it just really shows me how dirty the rest of this thing is. But I think it added a nice little touch to it. It's not too much color where it's shocking, but I think it's just enough on there to make it look a little bit less tame. And I'm not really too concerned about the longevity of some things, such as this being here and this, because all of that will be gotten rid of in time between the cold air intake and a Sprintec supercharger. But this is, you know, just something quick and easy that you can do to just kind of dress it up a little bit. So if you go to a car show and you lift the hood, it's just not a bunch of black nothingness under there. It adds a little bit of color to it. A lot of people take their caps off and paint those. I don't mind the yellow so much. It's there for a reason. So I like things that are aesthetically pleasing as well as extremely functional, and them being yellow makes them easy to see, even though they get dirtier quick. And it's also just another color under here, and I don't mind it, but to each their own. Like I said, a lot of people switch these out, or they'll buy the anodized aluminum ones from Perrin or whoever. They'll just replace them all. But yeah, I don't mind it so much. So there we go. That's another really quick how-to video that took me a week and a half to do because I was busy doing other things, to just briefly flash up the engine bay a little bit. Thanks for watching.
Behind me you'll see a car.